Going live, everybody. It's Atheist Brunch. Where's my conductor whistle? There it is. All aboard! Probably everybody misses that, right? Because it takes a second to get the thing going, right? And turn off this light. It's in the
YouTube doesn't take it.
No? Yeah. Well, we're live on TikTok. It's Atheist Brunch. I'm your conductor, Rob. About to be your engineer. We're on YouTube too, so if I go like this, don't think I'm watching a tennis match. It's actually just we're trying to get the YouTube up and running too. Happy Sunday, everybody! Thanks for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to the engineer hat. You want to pass me the engineer hat there? Producer Jay in the studio with us again after a week off, doing his crazy gig that he does. Lots going on this week. It is Secular Week of Action this week, all week, and more than a week, 10 days. It was April 30th to May 9th. So I wanted to start by urging everybody to get out and do some actual good in the community. I had not heard of this until I read it on Reddit this morning. But our friends at the Foundation Beyond Belief, which is a great organization that was founded to be the first and I think still probably only large-scale disaster relief. Like, they help people out with hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and shit like that around the world, that is run as a secular organization. Our great friend Noel George started that and actually made famous Rebecca Vitzman, I want to say, the tornado atheist that Wolf Blitzer stupidly asked on CNN several years ago, when the houses across the street from hers were blown away by a tornado in Oklahoma and hers was spared, did she thank God, or was she praying, or some bullshit like that? And she had the balls to come out and say, actually, I'm an atheist, and embarrassed his dumb ass right on the airwaves at CNN. So she got famous for that right away and has since made the rounds at the atheist conventions. But anyway, Foundation Beyond Belief, it looks like, has gotten together and rounded up all of the other atheist organizations like Freedom from Religion Foundation, American Atheists, American Humanist Association, Center for Inquiry, Black Nonbelievers, everybody that I didn't mention that's involved in the atheist movement as a high-profile atheist organization is involved in the Secular Week of Action, which calls on atheists to get out there and do some actual good in response to the National Day of Prayer, which Agent Orange started last year and got passed. Spent Congress's valuable time violating separation of church and state by declaring a National Day of Prayer in response to the fucking COVID crisis. Like, that's going to do something. Like, we should pray to get rid of the disease that their God invented, and sent to us. Stupid. Prayer is nothing feels like prayer, like Dan Barker likes to say. And the Secular Week of Action is a brilliant way to counter that with actual doing something. Get out, even if it's just a highway cleanup. Get out, do a highway cleanup, clean up the environment. But get out, do a food drive for the homeless. Do some charity work. A lot of Unitarian churches will help you out. They are our friends, the Unitarians. They're generally super progressive places and happy to work with atheists, where a lot of other churches won't. If they're doing a coat drive in the winter, they won't even let atheists help them because they don't want that. Again, another bigotry, double standard bullshit. But Unitarians to be counted on. So if you don't have a place to do that, you can partner with a Unitarian church in your area and set up a food kitchen or some way to help the homeless or help the people who have suffered from this COVID plague that's been going on for a year and a half, that threatens to be worsened by the fact that half of the evangelical Christians aren't even going to get the vaccine. So if we ever get to herd immunity in America, it'll be amazing and a real achievement with the denial of science that's going on. So Secular Week of Action, it's weekofaction.org, I want to say. You can find it. Was that what it was? Do you remember, Jay? Weekofaction.org.
Or Google it.
And yeah, we can Google it. And here it is right here. Yeah, weekofaction.org. Go there and scroll down, and you can see a lot of great ideas about stuff you can do. How did that come up on a completely different? Oh, because the shift button's up down. That's why. I'll get back to the YouTube page. Week of Action.org. Go there and scroll down, and you can see a lot of great ideas about stuff you can do. How did that come up on a completely different? Oh, because the shift button's up down. That's why. Get back to the YouTube page. Week of Action.org. Go there and scroll down, and you can see a lot of great ideas about stuff you can do. the shitbird in Kansas kicked some students around in a religious rant while he was a student or a substitute teacher this week. That's a current events thing that I noticed what was going on, and I forgot about Kansas. Kansas is a piece of shit state too, and overly religious, and trying to put stuff in textbooks. I think is what made the grad students start the awesome Spaghetti Monster thing, which is taken off as a parody religion. Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Praise his noodly appendages. But that was Kansas, and here's this guy. He's a lawmaker, and he's a state rep in Kansas. In his class, when he was a substitute teacher, went on about masturbation and sexuality and LGBT, and basically said that got in an argument with one kid and said that the kid was about to trigger him and incur the wrath of God. And do you believe it when I've told you that God is speaking to me? And we went off and got arrested for it. So good for the authorities there for actually arresting his ass for that. But it just goes to show you, that this country is so full of religious and zealots and backwards thinking country fucks who deny science and continue to put their faith in an unseen deity and an ancient myth for which there is no evidence, instead of actually working on human problems, human solutions to human problems, and helping out people in real ways and helping us get through these shitty times. But I got an avocado for my brunch today. Let me make this a cooking show too. I love to do this with an avocado. Cut it in half, open it up. You get the nice half with no seed in it. It's got a little pool in there. And then I take a little of my homemade vinaigrette that I love to make. I buy the red wine vinegar from the local Italian deli. That's 7% acidity. It's tangy, my friend, because it's more acidic than most vinegars. And I just fill up the little pool. See that? And I kind of overdid it. Boy, that's good. But it's pretty and it's tasty too. So feel free to interrupt me anytime, Jay.
All right. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them. There's a question box near the comment section. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in there. Or if you want something to be for Rob to respond to.
There's a ball.
Oh.
That's tangy.
Non-crazy cat lady says, "Be careful with touching knives on TikTok. It's a big no-no."
Is that right?
Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah. How's Captain Deadpool get away with that? He makes knives, right?
I don't know if he shows them though. I don't think I've ever.
Yeah,
seen
no, he does. I showed.
Okay.
He did a whole video on his burnishing them, and he's beautiful. What an artisan! I mean, that's great stuff, man. Puts me to shame. Thank you, though. She's always looking out for us, my man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
So yeah. How would you do like a cooking show? And there's probably cooking TikTok, right?
Yeah. Someone else said, yeah, you can get banned for showing a knife. That's strange. Huh.
Wow. That's crazy. I guess they got to have rules, though. I mean,
yeah.
We don't want to get kicked off for something as benign as eating an avocado.
All right, we got a question in. Okay. Remember, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the question box. If you don't have a question box at the bottom next to your comments, it might mean that you're not following the Atheist Underground. You might have to follow us to do it. We're not.
Yeah, if you're following us, for sure, there's a dialogue bubble with a question mark at the very bottom of the screen, and you can use that, and then the questions will stay there, and he can hit it, and you can look at the questions, because the scroll goes by so fast, it's very hard to keep up. But hit us up with them. We're always ready.
All right, here we got one. Do you think humans need dogma?
I think some humans need the ritual of religion, and I think that they've been conditioned to think that dogma is okay. I don't know if they need dogma specifically, but I do think that a lot of people need the comfort myth, and they need that emotional crutch that religion provides. And again, my point is always that if we spend our time and our effort educating people more highly and more specifically and more accurately when they're young, those kind of needs will fade as time goes by. But I think it is ingrained deep in our soul to want that kind of religion. And we know that most people are comfortable being told what to do. They actually crave it. Most people are followers. They're happy to accept orders from an authority figure that they trust, and it makes them comfortable. It makes them, not have to think. So I don't know about dogma necessarily, but yeah, human beings definitely need, that kind of ritual comfort, I think, in a lot of ways, for sure.
How long have you been an atheist?
40 years now. Anyway, probably started when I was 17 or so, and came out. By the time I was done with college, I was completely done with any kind of spiritual, supernatural, metaphysical belief. Yes, indeed.
Did you have to come out?
Yeah, my parents my mom was bummed out about it. There's no doubt about it. I'm not the kind of person who worries about that stuff. So it wasn't like I had to like come out to a religious community. I had stopped going to church before I stopped actually believing in any kind of higher power kind of thing. So it wasn't like I had to apologize to my pastor and a bunch of people who were counting on me to be a religious factor in their lives. But I did have to like tell my mom, and it made her uncomfortable. She's a born again Christian, and she really wants it to be true. But she's not a hater. She's not someone who would be, disown me for that or make my life difficult for that. She just avoids the conversation now, because she knows I'll just beat her down when she tries to bring it up.
Can you click on the YouTube? Can you click the live chat button or that?
Oh yeah.
Or maybe those. Yeah, I'm trying to see if. Oh, that's weird because I posted something and it didn't show up there. I'll keep an eye from here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean we're on YouTube too. YouTube, TikTok, YouTube. Go to our YouTube and follow it if you haven't, please. We need 1,000 followers to go stream live from our mobile devices, so we can go out on the road and fuck with some street preachers or do something else. I got some ideas that can't be done right here in the studio, but we do need to boost that somehow. YouTube lagging behind somehow. So go there and do that. Even if you don't use YouTube, just hit the subscribe, and then you don't have to ever go back.
What did you study?
I studied theater. I'm a trained actor, actually, and I studied a lot of things. I went to I studied diction. I studied a lot of religion and philosophy, or not philosophy so much as religion growing up. I went to a really good private high school that opened my eyes to a lot of things that you probably don't get at public high school in America. So I was lucky that way. But I was always into communication arts and theater and film and TV and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite religion?
My least favorite religion is probably Christianity or Islam. I think those are the two big religions that have foisted the fundies on us, the extremist fundamentalists that we hate so much, that have caused so much pain and suffering. Because I don't think inherently those religions are necessarily any worse than a lot of other religions. I think that they've just gotten so big that they have adherents that have twisted the message, that have refused to move forward with scientific advances that we've made in human history, and in that way they've become, I think, easily the two most despicable, hateable religions on the planet. And I don't think that there's much arguing with that, except for like the weird, abusive cults on a small level. I suppose there's some horrible ones like that. But yeah, I can't hide my contempt for those two religions, because the evangelical Americans are the Taliban of America. They really are, and we're lucky that they don't perpetrate more violence than they do, and believe it, they do. I mean, we saw the insurrection on the Capitol. How many crosses were there at that? Disgusting, horrible display of Christian nationalism gone terribly, terribly wrong. Everyone who holds a Confederate flag and a Bible at the same time is a hypocrite and a bigot and an asshole. So I don't. People think I pick on Christianity, and it seems like that because Christianity is doing more harm to American citizens than any other religion is, without question. And they're the ones trying to make our government a theocracy. Disproportionately, we talk about Christianity, but I don't think that Christianity as a thing is any less stupid than other supernatural beliefs and I use the word stupid in a snarky way. I know that there's beautiful, wonderful people of all religions who are just trying to do the best by their family and get through and get by and sleep at night, like the rest of us. So, when I make generalizations about religion, it doesn't have anything to do with particular people, as I know people are good people everywhere. Most people I feel are good in every religion, but those two religions have spawned fundamentalism in a way that offends humanity.
What college did you go to?
You know what? I have stalkers. I'm not going to talk about that. I went to it's too easy to find out where I am exactly from places like that. So I do try to not put too much on her. The Islam video got us some threats, you know.
And then if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the question box. Just a reminder for everybody.
Yeah, leave it in the question box so that they're there, because they do go by too fast for us to keep up with necessarily.
Thoughts on the Duggar situation?
Man, you know what? I hate reality TV, and I watched the Duggars when they first came out just because it's like watching a freak show. I mean, you have to sort of take a look, right? Can you imagine 19 kids? Can you fucking imagine? And you know they're going to have all kinds of kids in there. They're going to have a handful that are gay, handful that end up being atheists, a handful. I mean, there's just so many. It's just like its own demographic. So, that dude's a piece of shit from what I can see. What did he got arrested for? What was it? Do you remember exactly? We looked into it.
Child pornography.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. Would we even say that? Get kicked off for saying that on TikTok? I don't know, but yeah. And the guy's got his own car dealership. Is that what it is? And his yeah. I mean,
and they just announced they're having a baby like 2 days before he got arrested.
Is that right?
Like within a week, yeah.
And he's the same one, right, who molested his brothers and sisters. So yeah, just more evidence that being a Christian, being an evangelical Christian, does not make you a good person, just because. And again, clandestine sexuality has always gone hand in hand with religion. It's the forbidden fruit kind of thing makes people want it more, and I think that there's a thrill there that people get from breaking the rules a little bit, and no doubt that that played into how this asshole turned out in some ways. I don't think you can't say that for sure. He might have been a creep no matter how he was raised, but I can't think that it helped. I can't think that it helped being an evangelical Christian in a freak ass family like that.
At the very least, they didn't get him the help he needed. I mean,
yeah, they didn't give him the help he needed. They didn't. They probably turned a blind eye to it. Like a lot of these like it happens with a lot of these situations. I mean, just look at the Catholic Church. Talk about turning a blind eye. They'd rather save face than save kids. And that's, I think we see that over and over in religion.
Keisha wants to know what was you already answered this. What was your degree in?
Theater.
All right.
The theater arts, my friend.
Yeah.
Keisha. Thanks for watching, baby. Love you.
Have you seen the documentary Jesus Camp?
No, I can't get through that. I've seen parts of it. I know what it's about. I know enough to know that I'll just be bummed out and creeped out by it. But that kind of shit scares me. And, we saw a video clip the other day too of that I've seen before, of that woman, shaming kids and telling them that they're going to go to hell forever, and that they need to get the demons out of them. And kids are crying. Little kids are crying, and the audience are coming up, and she's pouring like a bottle of fucking Nestle water. How appropriate is that, right? Isn't Nestle like a real right-wing shitbird organization? Yeah. I think so. She's like got a bottle of Nestle fucking water. We all know that bottled water is evil anyway for the litter that it causes, but to use Nestle water of all things. I wonder if she prayed over it to make it holy like a priest does. But she's not a priest. She's an evangelical idiot, born again preacher, and probably a bottled up lesbian too. By the look of her, she's probably riddled with guilt because she can't come out and just be the person that she is and just admit that it's okay. That's my impression of that creep. But any of that stuff is abuse on a ridiculous scale. And anyone that thinks that religion can't be child abuse only needs to look at that Jesus Camp or the one about the Amish people, right? The Raumspringer one, and what happens in the Amish community too. These insular communities that seem so quaint and loving and Jesus-like, and and godlike are rampant with sexual abuse, physical, emotional abuse, people, being racked with guilt forever for just being the person that they are. And they can never get away from it in many cases, even if they want to and know that they can, psychologically, they're already damaged from childhood.
My favorite is I haven't seen the whole documentary, but I've heard the story before, is the Mormon, who, I know they have a documentary on Netflix now about the Mormon who was forging Mormon documents, and then eventually he was about to get caught, so he started sending
Forging Mormon documents.
Yeah, basically creating like letters that he claimed were like Joseph Smith letters, and like missing documents. Like, he found like 5 or 6 different things and sold them to people. So he made a ton of money off of them, and then basically he knew he was about to get caught, so he started sending pipe bombs in the mail to like. And then he was doing it too to hide the fact, to try to like, basically he sent it to a bunch of people who had nothing to do with it, just so that he could kind of throw them off of his trail.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I mean, the funny part was that people were accepting it as fact because they wanted those letters to exist and those things to exist. So
Right.
They were
right. It's
willing to not.
It's a confirmation bias thing where they like anything that comes up that they can twist to confirm what they've already assumed is true. Is awesome for them. I wish I had the skepticism or the cynicism, I should say, to be a televangelist, and use my theater degree for that kind of thing. But I can't lie to people like that and bullshit people like Osteen does. I mean, imagine what kind of a soulless shitbird you have to be to take advantage of people like that. And I'd be a rich guy. People be rich off of that shit.
Someone asked I Googled it. I believe it's called Murder Among the Mormons. I think that's the right.
I love alliteration. Murder Among the Mormons. Yeah. That's great, man.
That looks right. Let's see.
That sounds cool. I would watch that.
What time zone are you in?
Central Time.
Okay. What with America trying to move towards theocracy, do you think The Handmaid's Tale is really possible?
That's a little extreme, obviously. If you watch The Handmaid's Tale, then it's a frightening vision, and I had a hard time wondering if I could watch it, but I'm glad I do, because it's a great show. It's fabulously filmed, acted, written. I really love the vision of the artistic production of the show. It's gorgeously shot, absolutely gorgeous, and it's again now. It's the new season has started again. I think there's been like 3 shows. The next one, they come out on Wednesday night. But The Handmaid's Tale is on a smaller scale. I think it absolutely could happen if we don't watch out, if we don't actively work to vote against Christian nationalism. Then we already see certain little aspects of that in society, in how put down women are in terms of their healthcare rights, and how many states are enacting their own laws to limit women's access to healthcare and abortion, and transgender people now. They've gotten Handmaid's Tale is like.
Someone said no spoilers.
No spoilers. But yeah, Handmaid's Tale is obviously an over the top version of that, where I don't think there's any way you could enforce the kind of ritual that they have going on, where people like say things. I mean, how fast could that happen? That's just not how society works. You couldn't, even if a cult took over in a coup and changed the government, to be able to make everybody say, blessed day, and all that Lord talk. It couldn't really happen like that, but I think it's a really, really valuable lesson to watch. The Handmaid's Tale is absolutely. There's people who want that. There's people who want this country to be that. Women not to own anything, not to have their own money, take orders from men specifically. It's it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could end up in a country that enacts real legislation based on the beliefs of a religious minority that not many of us really give a shit about. And that's what's happened in Pakistan and Iran. Those countries used to be nice, fun, moderate places to visit, where you could go and have tea on the street and didn't have a Taliban driving down the road measuring your fucking beard and throwing you in jail, because of Islamic law. that was enacted by people, who don't represent the majority of the populace. Like Tehran, that was in the 70s was, an international that enjoyed, all of the benefits of being such: commerce, art, travelers from around the world, visitors, tourism. That's all gone in the name of Sharia law, basically, and the Ayatollahs deciding, for the rest of them, how life is going to be, and it's a sad, sad thing. So it would break my heart in a huge way if the America that I grew up with ended up being like that. And that is where there's people with money and power and positions where they can really, really try to enforce that, and they're trying to. It's called Project Blitz or Freedom for All. I think they changed the name to Under Pressure.
Thank you to Non Crazy Cat Lady for the rose.
Thanks.
And thanks everyone for the likes. If you tap your screen, it's how you send likes. I didn't realize that till.
Yeah, I did that finally too the other day. We suck at the techno stuff because we're old dudes and we're not really snappy at TikTok, but we're learning, man. We're trying. And I think there's still some features that we don't really know how to use that we should.
We got a question from Blinky Bricks asks, why does Jesus never it cut off? But I think it was never look Middle Eastern or something like that.
Oh, because it was made up by white Westerners, really. I mean, the way that the whole thing evolved started with Greeks, and we know Greeks aren't very Middle Eastern, but after the meetings that started with the first Council of Nicaea, there were a few of those councils, and then they decided how Christianity was going to be, and as Christianity moved west, not east. There's obviously no depictions of Jesus. So one of the big problems they have proving that Jesus ever existed is no one ever made any kind of rendering, no dolls, no sculptures, no bas reliefs, no statues, no drawings, nothing of the Palestinian that Jesus, would have been if he were real. So, when the Roman Empire spread it through Europe and Europe came to dominate the West, the art and culture of Italy was everything. And so that's when we started first getting the depictions of Jesus that we're familiar with today. And somebody puts it on Borgia, right? The Borgia Pope used his son Caesar as a model. And I don't know if that's true or if that's just speculation, but it would make sense that something like that happened, and somebody commissioned an art of Jesus and they used this guy. I think Jesus looked like this. But I mean, it's all a way to pander to the audience, and the audience was white Western Europeans, and it created that image of Jesus that now is powerfully subliminal on messaging on the new people who they convert to Christianity. If you go to South America, Jesus could possibly have been spun as a Mesoamerican Indian, maybe a short guy with dark skin and black hair, but you don't see that, and so those people tend to think of Jesus as a white, somewhat effeminate looking white dude with a beard, good looking, maybe blue eyes or soft brown eyes, and that image becomes ingrained on the people who follow Christianity, and it's a form of racism for those people to aspire to a God who is white, and they can't escape it.
Yeah, ideas on AR is Arkansas, right?
AR?
Yeah.
No.
Or is that Arizona?
That's AZ. I don't think AR is an abbreviation for a state.
I'll look it up. But they're trying to push creationism in schools.
Yeah, that's Arkansas. It's AK.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, Arkansas's just been stupid. I think that they shot it down, though. I think that the Senate did not. If you look, I think it did not pass the Senate. Knowing, I think that when it got challenged in the Supreme Court, it would get shot down like it did in the Dover decision, years ago, because those people know, as dopey and Christian as the Supreme Court has become, they understand that intelligent design is religion. It's not science. It's a religious construct, and it shouldn't be taught alongside accepted science, not even as a theory. It's like, yeah, well, all theories should be taught. No, if there's no evidence for it, and it's obviously a religious construct, then no, it cannot be taught in the public school in anything other than, you know, philosophy and religion class, which is not, of course, for little kids. You know, if you're having a high school class on that stuff, then, you know, maybe that's okay. But it actually, in my opinion, you know, philosophy should be taught to little kids as soon as they enter the public school system, and that'll make it much easier or much harder for parents to indoctrinate kids to unsustainable faith systems if they understand at an early age that everybody from around the world has a different idea on what happens when we die and the nature of God or the nature of our existence. If they understand that Christianity is not the only choice there, then it's going to make it a lot harder for them to accept that it's the real choice, because we know that they all can't be real, and there's no evidence for any of them. So the only obvious answer is that none of them are real. I think kids need to be taught that at an early age, and they have been taught that in England in certain school systems. There've been an experiment done, and it turns out that they get it right away. You know, people don't give kids enough credit for being smart, but when you teach them stuff like that right away, they get it.
This is what I could find in the news. It says creationism bill passed in Arkansas House, but it headed to the Senate. So I don't see anything saying that it was blocked yet.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did see something that said it was blocked. I'm pretty sure. So I think the Senate crapped on it incredibly. Because Arkansas is a state full of stupid folk, man. They passed the medical diversity
Oh yeah,
diversity and ethics and diversity
yeah, something like
law, which allows doctors to withhold treatment based on their ethical beliefs. And to me, that means that if they're Christian and they don't think that someone should have a certain procedure, they can refuse to do it. Now, I did have, in the interest of fairness, I did have a nurse comment on the thread that we put it on, that would allow doctors to withhold treatment from people who were gravely ill and dying, and treatment was going to just prolong their misery instead of letting them die with dignity. And I guess I gotta give it to her for bringing up that perspective. I don't believe with the wording of the bill that's what it's about. The word diversity in there generally is a trigger, or a key word when Christians are trying to get something passed that they think is about freedom of religion, right? Freedom to be a bigot or freedom to withhold treatment. To them means freedom of religion, because everybody's religion should be respected like that, when they really mean that Christian values should continue to be the underpinning of laws in America, and they're looking for a continuation of the exceptionalism that they have enjoyed in this country. Unfair.
Do you think Christianity would be less dangerous if it was taught like paganism? That being said, it was taught like a tradition.
A tradition or a myth system? Yeah. Is that what that means? Yeah, I think so. I mean, and right away we need to. I think we need to teach Christianity as one of many mythologies throughout history. We teach Greek myth. I learned in, I want to say, 4th or 5th grade, we did Greek mythology and we did Norse mythology. And the idea that Christianity is somehow above that, or Judaism is above that, because those are the faith systems that we hold close to our society still, and so many people revere as truth. It's just a pandering to those people to give credence to their truth, when obviously they can be seen as mythological stories, just like all of those other ones that have since been tossed by the wayside largely. Nobody thinks, and there's a lot of pagans still, who look at the old Norse religions. I think like there's, even if it's not supernatural, they respect them in the way that goes beyond mythology a little bit. But I don't know anybody who thinks that like Zeus and Apollo and and correct me if I'm wrong out there. There's some people who still adhere to the old Greco-Roman pantheon. More power to them. But we too easily accept that the mythologies of defeated cultures or conquered cultures are myths. Oh, the Hawaiian myth is cute of Pele, the volcano goddess, and all this. Well, there's more evidence that Pele is real when the volcano blows up and destroys your house than there is that Jesus died on a cross and and did so for our sins. I mean, that concept is absurd when you really break it down. You know, no one. I didn't give anyone permission to die for me and die for my sins. What is that about? You know, they say we have free will, but you know that part is not part of our free will. That happened whether we believe it or not. Give me a fucking break. No, it didn't. Died for our sins. There is no sin.
What are the best states to live in as an atheist?
You know, probably, you know, Massachusetts, California. You know, I'm just guessing, but the coasts, and typically, you can identify it by a blue state, red state thing. It goes hand in hand now. Sadly, you know, the number one indicator of a Trump voter is Christian evangelicalism. You know, and that's not to bring this to a political thing, but they do go hand in hand these days. You know, an identity politics phenomenon that I can't condone. But you know, Seattle, Portland, California, and you know, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and other East Coast states where you know where the educated elite hang out and piss off the monster truck rally mob in the middle. And another one. I love trucks. I drive trucks, but you know, I make the point that if you're an atheist, you're better off living not in the Bible Belt, which is everywhere except New York, California, Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington.
People are saying California.
Yeah, I mean California. I mean anywhere where there's big cities and educated people, you're going to be better off than the hick states. That's just the way it is.
What's your religious background? And I guess were you ever religious?
Yeah, no, I was raised religious, but I went to a congregational church in Connecticut, and the church was not any kind of a fundy church. It was the 70s. You know, you were cool, I was cool, kind of ethic, and no one taught me that the Bible was literal. Even New Testament stuff that you know most Christians I think who realize that Genesis is metaphor and allegory still think that you know the stories of Jesus were true, and you kind of have to if you're going to buy into that whole thing. But you know, even in my church, it was completely open to questioning, you know, whether some of the stories of Jesus were parables, because some of them we know, you know, Jesus. Some of them they come right out and say this, you know, Jesus told a parable. So why can't you see that the writers of the Jesus stories were also telling a parable? You know, nobody really argued with us about that. We took Jesus's message to heart and tried to live, you know, a morally centered life and tried not to hurt anybody, but no one hammered us with hell and brimstone like they do nowadays in the evangelical churches. So yeah, I grew up in church. My family went to church. I loved church. We had a great time on Sunday. My friends were there. It was a social event and a community strengthening thing. They had a band concert in the summer, like old timey New England, with frog jumping contests and cakewalks, and you know the local band played, and the band it was a fabulous, idyllic childhood in New England in a lot of ways. But you know, I got lucky. My church wasn't a freak ass church, and by the time I turned 16, 17, that's when like Reagan came in, and the whole just say no, and the whole you know bringing along what's his fucking name, Billy Graham. You know, and you know, everything kind of went conservative and hardcore after that on a curve, and I blame Reagan for bringing that crap through and helping push evangelicalism along. And you know, even that church changed after I left it. It became more. They got rid of the preacher that was there in the 70s, and they got a guy who was more in line with hardcore, you know, fundamentalism in comparison to the past. So. Yeah, long story short, I was raised religious, but it was mellow, and it was easy to take the skepticism that was accepted there and take it to the next level for a guy like me whose brain's built like mine is, you know.
So at first glance, a person who is investigating the entire God concept for this first time might go. I think it's probably resources for someone who doesn't want to read a 500-page book, but is interested in sort of where to start resource wise.
To become an atheist, or
yeah,
someone who's questioning to get out of religion.
Yeah, just questioning the God concept.
Oh yeah, I mean read the ones that everybody read. I guess The God Delusion by Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens. God is Not Great. You know, I haven't read a lot of these because, like I say, I came out on my own, and I don't feel like I needed any of that. So it's hard for me to recommend that stuff, but those are the books that people reference. And just get on YouTube and start researching. If you have a question or a doubt, look it up and look for the facts. Christianity hides the facts from people. They hide education and knowledge because they know that knowledge is the enemy of dogma. And that's the best thing that I can do is tell you and actually read the Bible, read the whole thing through, and see for yourself if it makes any sense. And in the end, if it makes sense to you, then you're probably lost to begin with. But I would start there. Start with look for George Carlin's thoughts on religion. It'll make you realize pretty quickly that it's silly beyond most human understanding, in fact.
I think too, I'm not a huge fan of the debates, but I think if you go to like an atheist page with a question and then a religious person's page, usually you'll be able to pick out like, oh, this person's being deceptive here.
Yeah.
They're trying to hide info here.
Yeah, look for Aaron Ra, who debates creationists with scientific fact. And he's brilliant at it. He'll make you know right away that you don't have to take on faith that which has been taught to you and asserted with no evidence. You don't have to. If your brain tells you that you think it smells funky, then it probably does, and you don't need to worry about that. Trust yourself, man.
Do you think the Bible should be taught as a piece of literature rather than religious text?
Yeah, absolutely. The Bible should be taught as literature, historical, a historical record in some ways of ancient Judaism, but to take it literally is absurd. It's a beautiful document in a lot of ways, and especially the King James Version gave us English phrases that will live forever. It's beautifully written, but it's incomplete. Look at the other stuff. Look at the Apocrypha. Look at the Gospels of Thomas and Mary that were left out by the leaders of the early church because it didn't agree with the church's message of patriarchy and beyond. The more you educate yourself, the easier it is to let all that stuff go. So I urge you to just follow your instincts, man, and look for truth and knowledge wherever you can find it. Much exciting in the world that's real and verifiable. That I don't get why anybody needs anything beyond that.
What books do you recommend for someone dealing with religious trauma?
I don't know. Honestly, religious trauma. Again, it was something that I didn't have to deal with. But if anybody has any, please suggest. It sounds like there's people out there that could use these resources, and I'm not a guy who read a lot of those kind of books, to help me get over my atheism, and I didn't suffer religious trauma. I think watch "Letting Go of God" by Julia Sweeney, if you can find that, the movie she made of her standing up and doing a one-woman show. Basically, it's basically a film of her act, and her act in this case describes how she let go of Catholicism and the pain that she went through to do that. And that, to me, that was compelling as an atheist. So look for that one.
There's a lot of TikTokers, and I would recommend finding
Recovering from Religion.
Oh.
Google that, Recovering from Religion, and see what you find there.
I was gonna say there's also I would look for what if you're like a Mormon, find an ex-Mormon. Like I think that a lot of them are specific to whatever ex about.
Yeah, that's true too. The ex-Muslims of North America probably have resources.
Yeah.
For you, Black non-believers.
Yeah.
Can help you look for stuff. If you're Black and like Jay says, if you're Mormon, look for ex-Mormon stuff, and that'll help you too.
Are Catholic boarding schools concentration camps?
Never been in one, man. I don't know. There's a lot of Catholic boarding schools. There's a lot of Catholic parochial schools, but
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if I think most boarding schools that were founded, like when I went to a boarding school, I was not a boarder. I lived in the area, so I went home at night. But I went to a boarding school, and we had Jewish kids at what was historically an Episcopalian affiliated boarding school. But most of those schools have let go of that I think, and there were schools in our league, right, in our conference, right, that we played sports against, that were called St. George's and St. Joseph's and whatever. So I think that those, and that was, again, these are boarding schools in New England. They're like the prep schools that you see on in the movies. These are like Choate and Andover and the big name, big money, or rich people in New York and Philly send their kids to board at. So if you've chosen one that was started as a Catholic one, I have a hard time believing that they're very Catholic anymore. That generally, in my experience, doesn't. It's not really what they're about.
So we're getting questions in the comments. If you have a question, please put them in the question box, which is next to the comment section. We have, are you an ordained Dudist priest?
Yeah, I got my. Thanks for bringing that up. I got my my Dude Abides shirt on. I found it. I'm very proud. I didn't. I thought I lost it. The Dude Abides, not the Lord. The Dude Abides. So no, not ordained as a Dudist priest, but I do love Dudism. I've smoked boku weed in my life, and I don't anymore. Currently off it for health reasons. But yeah, the Big Lebowski. What a great film. And Dudism, I think, one of the more valid religions that you can name.
Why do presidents still get sworn in on a Bible?
Just tradition, and I don't think if we ever had one that was an atheist, he could refuse to do it. I think it's just show. Again, it's pandering to the audience. Most people expect that or think that makes it, a grave and solemn vow. But none of that holds any weight if you really challenge it, unless you're in a sick ass county where you're going to get scolded by a Christian judge. I have been deposed, and when they asked me to swear, do I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I flat out said I don't believe in God, and the guy kind of went, "Do you swear to tell the truth?" He just rephrased it. You know what I mean? So it's in most cases it's just tradition. With Wisconsin, where we are, is half and half, depending on where you are. It is real religious in parts, but it's also not terribly fundamental in a lot of ways either. So when that happened, it wasn't even the thing. And when I give the invocation at the city council, which opens with a prayer, which is unconstitutional in my view, and pretty easy to make that case that government should not open with a prayer of any kind. Well, the invocation has been ruled less of a prayer and more of an invocation, and so anybody can give the invocation. Any Satanist, any Muslim, any atheist can do it if you just call up and say, I want to give the invocation. If they're a place that hasn't let go of the invocation altogether, they have to let you do it. And if they don't, then you can sue, or you can register a complaint, again, with ffrf.org, and they have to let you do it. If they don't, it's a violation. So even though the Supreme Court ruled it legal to do those invocations, part of that ruling was that they have to let anybody do it. And so I went ahead and did a secular one at our city council meeting a year or two ago, and it went great. Nobody was disrespectful. Nobody in the council, made eyes or rolled their eyes or said anything out loud. And my invocation went a little long, probably compared to some of them. It wasn't terribly long, but I told them that I didn't want them standing, because they stand for the prayer when the prayer guy does it. If it's a priest from Catholicism, or if it's a pastor from a local Protestant church, they stand for the prayer, like people do a lot of times in church. And I told the mayor, I said, I don't want people standing for this. A, it's a little bit longer, and I don't want to make people uncomfortable. And B, I don't deserve that kind of respect. I'm doing this invocation to take my turn as an atheist and send a little message during it and tell the people to use their time at the city council meeting to make decisions for everybody, not just for Christians, and to use evidence and data and experts to make those decisions, and not prayer and sky daddies. So it went really well. I didn't get abused, and I didn't get punished for it in any kind of way. So depending on where you are, that might not be the case, but the attachments of government to religion are eminently challengeable all the time, and you don't have to be in politics to do it. And I just told you how you can do it without being in politics. Just be a citizen. If your little town does it, be bold, man. Go up and say, you know what? As long as you're going to do a prayer, I want to do an atheist invocation and take my turn doing that, and see if that doesn't get them to just quit the prayer. A lot of times that's what will happen. The Satanist wants to do it. That'll scare the Christians so much that they'll be like, you know what? Maybe we don't really need to open the city council with a prayer, and then the problem is solved too. Even better.
Any counter statement for those Muslims saying that Islam is a religion based on science?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, that's stupid. It's a religion. If it was based on science, then it wouldn't have been supposedly dictated, into the mind of a dude straight from God. I mean, where's the science in that? You know what I mean? It's just another way for them to justify the fact that they think their religion is real and true. And Captain Deadpool actually did a cool video on how the science in the Quran is all shit. It's all stuff that actually was already known. And the people who believe that, it's just because they want to believe it.
I also just looked it up that Muslim countries on average have way less scientists than it says fewer than 10 scientists per 1,000, where the average is 40 to 140 per 1,000.
And that just shows you the effects of a fundamentalist religious society. It's beaten down learning and education, whereas we know Arab culture, they invented the zero, for God's sake. I mean, people were smart before, and even in the early days of Islam, before the fundamentalist part really took hold. But the only way that these religions can grow is by appealing to people who aren't educated. They go to small countries. I think Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country now, because they were able to convert the entire friggin' country. And most of those people are poor islanders who are, doing what they can to survive. And the idea of an everlasting reward and heavenly bliss for all eternity sounds awfully good to someone who struggles every day to make it, and it's the same with Christianity in South America and Africa and countries where they go to convert native people and tell them that their religion sucks and they need this one, and convince them that they'll have eternal life through Jesus. That's the only way that those, besides indoctrination of kids and families, that's the only way that those religions can grow. So it's not surprising to me that Muslim countries have less scientists.
I'm not really completely getting this question, but it says, in one word, tell me what prayer is.
Useless.
I was confused on why one word. What is your connection to the railroad?
Purely romantic. My grandpa, my great grandpa, and my grandpa worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad, and so I grew up steeped in, trains and the railroad. I always had model trains as a kid, and I just love them. I don't know why. I just love them. And we chose the theme for the podcast to be the Atheist Underground, like the London Underground, the subway system, and so it just rolled from there.
Sorry, so if you have a question, it's better to put it in the question box, which is next to the comment box. It has like a question mark.
Use the question box down at the bottom. And again, I'm enjoying my half an avocado. Avocados, superfood. If you didn't know that, a lot of people who hate avocados, and I don't get it. They're fabulous. They have this crazy thing where they have like one day that they're ripe, and then like they're either hard or they're rotten. So you got to be on it if you're going to eat avocados. But I recommend them for health.
Are there places for atheists to meet up?
Yeah, there's tons of places for atheists to meet up, and most states have atheist organizations, and they're small. You got to look for them. A lot of them are on meetup.com. If you haven't used Meetup, it's a place where introverts can find a quilting group or a book club or whatever the hell that they want to do. And it's probably taken an awful shot because of COVID and people not gathering like they used to. But if you're in the atheist movement, you learn that there are little atheist groups everywhere, man, especially in places that need them, like Texas. Atheist Experience is based on, the atheist community of Austin, which is one of the biggest and most successful atheist organizations anywhere. Florida has great ones, active ones, and I think that most of the better ones are in places like that where atheists are, a real downtrodden minority compared to the to the religious zealotry that goes on in the Bible states. I think there's less in a place like Boston or Portland. I might be wrong. I know there's one in Portland, but those places where atheists are more accepted have less need of atheist communities. But if you go around, man, they're everywhere, and you just need to Google atheist orgs in your area, and you can find them.
They said they're in Pennsylvania. Do you know any? Is that right?
Do I know any in Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania's ugly. If they're in the commenter, yeah. Sorry, man. Pennsylvania really, really ridiculously steeped. Unless you're in Philly, and probably parts of Pittsburgh, then Pennsylvania is scary religious. Western Pennsylvania is just steeped in good old fashioned Appalachian love for Jesus, man. And I know my family's from Altoona area, like I said, and all of them are, I got preachers in the family. They all know the Bible in a way that, lets them recite, Psalms and stuff in church without having to look at the Bible, because they all know all of those songs, all of those traditions. I don't know of any personally. I can't think of any in Pennsylvania. I know there are some. There has to be some. In Pennsylvania, you might not. It's a big state too. You might have to travel a little bit if you want to hang out with them. But good luck, man. I'll look for one.
Maybe a good time too to mention when we're going live. So if they want to jump on and to hang out with us
on Wednesday.
Well, Wednesdays and Sundays.
Yeah, Wednesdays and Sundays. We go live every Sunday at 10:30 Central Time. We're in the Chicago, Milwaukee area, and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. we're going live, and we're going to try to set that up as a schedule so people know what to expect. We don't have a lot of extra time. I see people just sort of go live when they think of it from their phone. And our gal Queen Vashti at I Blame Bill, right? I was hearing her say that she didn't want to set up a schedule because then it made it seem like a commitment instead of something fun that she just does. But she also, expressed regret, and it probably would help to have a schedule. So for us, it helps because we both have limited time, but we enjoy it, and I love going live, and I love everybody who comes and checks us out. Thank you so much to all the great followers and everybody else who checks in. So you can do that every Sunday at 10:30, every Wednesday at 8, at least for the foreseeable. That's when we go live, and trying to get the YouTube up. I don't know what the chat. Something must be up here.
Yeah, because I know I saw someone else posted on there
that the chat doesn't come up on the.
Yeah, we'll fix that for next time. It might be just the.
No, it went away altogether. Hit the participants.
Because Boomer commented, he just was talking about the Middle East.
Yeah.
So here we got it. So we got it. What can we do to defend from white Christian nationalists?
Get out and vote, man. If you're in any kind of position to do so, run for your school board, run for local office, question your politicians. If you have a politician who's running, let him know that you are a secular constituent of his and you don't have any interest in religion being commingled with government. The more that those politicians understand that the Christian majority is waning, and most of us, maybe we're not atheists, maybe we're not even agnostics, maybe we have a God belief, but we don't care about religion, and we want government to work on problems with using data and evidence and science. We need all those people, the Unitarians, the people who there's no God, but they don't care about religion. All of those people need to come out and vote, just like the evangelicals do. The only way they can do this is because they all vote. And apathy runs rampant among atheists. Believe me, atheists would rather do what they're doing on Sunday morning than get involved in politics necessarily. But when you do that, when you think that your vote doesn't count, that's when the other side wins, period. And you see what happens when everybody comes out and votes. Now they're trying to make it so that people can't vote because they didn't vote the way that they wanted them to. So, those people are motivated to be in politics. They have people with huge money who to campaigns, enact campaign reform, and most of all, you just need to vote. But if you're at a political rally for a candidate, ask that candidate if they're going to use evidence and data and experts and science to make decisions, or are they going to pray to God? When Bush was in office talking about praying on his knees every day or whatever, and all these politicians who say that they pray for advice, are they using the answers to those prayers to make their decisions? Or do they use evidence and data? And do they rely on the science knowledge that we have? And do they rely on the experts in any given field? Or do they rely on the prayers that they supposedly hear an answer from for their God from? Which is it? Put them on the spot and make them uncomfortable with that. And most of them, will have to tell you that they use, actual evidence and data. If they don't, they know that they're gonna look dumb. And there's not enough hardcore Christians out there, if the rest of us do our thing, to get over on us anymore. We've gone over the hump. There's less religious people than there are non-religious people in the country now, if you take all of us all together.
Big thanks to Stephanie she sent us fire. I don't know.
Fire from Stephanie. We love you, Stephanie.
And then we have, let's see. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in the question box, which is next to the comments. There should be a big question mark. If you don't see it, I believe you have to follow us to see it. If I'm not 100% sure on that, but follow us anyways.
Yeah, follow us anyways. We're pushing 30,000, and thank you so much to everybody. We could not have envisioned the success of all of this, so we really appreciate it.
The Matt in the Hat wants to know: can I invoke the power of Cthulhu?
Cthulhu, Matt, invoke any power you want, bro. And it didn't. Dr. Seuss got canceled, didn't he? Matt in the Hat. It's a Cat in the Hat play.
Well,
right?
I don't know.
Didn't Dr. Seuss get?
He didn't really get.
I know, but they, he's like, you get some of those Chinese people drawings, right? Asians were. He was.
Well, they stopped printing them, and I think it's also because they weren't selling. I don't think I literally cannot name one person who owns one of those books.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I believe that it was. Maybe they were selling some, but they just chose. I think it was a mix of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think Christianity is going through revolt? I don't know if it means going through revolution. I bet.
Is Christianity going through revolution? What's that mean?
Do you think Christianity is going through? Maybe do you think they'll revolt?
Yeah, they might. I mean, they already tried. In some respects. Yeah, I think we're in a dangerous situation in the country. We're close to a civil war based on the identity politics that have surrounded the political situation that's been going on for the last couple of years. It seems like you either have to be a right-wing Christian evangelical who denies science, or you have to be a ultra-liberal crybaby snowflake who for social justice and is an atheist, communist, globalist, believer of science that is meant to fool us. This can't be. There's no middle ground. And that's upsetting. So the kickback that atheists are liable to come up against could be ugly if things continue to go the other way. But I don't see any other option that we have. We can't let those people continue to try to enforce their religious views on a secular government, and a government that was not founded by evangelical Christians.
And that question came from the Wicked Countess, and so she did a follow-up saying, meaning they can't really use fear anymore.
I don't know. I mean, they still make a lot of people afraid. I think she using fear to motivate their own followers.
I'm guessing
fear of hell.
I'm guessing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Using the fear of hell. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting past that because of education and the internet. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that there's other realities out there other than the one that they've been brought up with. So it's harder for them to fool the new generation. The kids aren't buying it anymore. I guess I'm not sure really what she's getting at.
It'll be interesting to see too as religions start to adjust again. As far as I think Mormons at one point, if you were African American, you couldn't even belong. They adjust. So I think as they adjust, I wonder if that'll bring more people. Just ones that are becoming more progressive, because if they don't, they're going to look they're going to lose everybody. I wonder if that'll.
Yeah, I mean, I think the smart religions do that, and the smart denominations in Christianity do that. Even the Catholics accepted evolution. It became obvious that that was that it was true, and that it became worldwide accepted fact. The Catholics tried to adjust, and we know that the Dalai Lama, speaks to science changing Buddhism if science comes up with facts and evidence that contradict something in Buddhism, then Buddhism will change. And that's the only way for religion to survive. If it's going to survive, sooner or later, it will die completely, especially if it continues to run in the face of facts. I mean, that's the people who believe that crap are on the way out, and it's strictly for the small mind.
Someone recommended that we do a duet with the Friendly Satanist.
Yeah, that guy's cool. I've seen
right now, but I think I have to jump off soon. So my thought if would be to
no
reach out
and set it up sometime. Yeah, I'm not sure. And the people who invite us to, like, when these things go on, like, people will invite us to go live right during this.
Yeah, we ignore those.
We ignore those. We don't want to get into a fight with troll. I'm not into debates. I don't watch them. I'm not like debating people who are never going to change their mind anyway. That's not what we're about. So I always worry that that's what that is. A lot of times it's somebody who wants to be like, yeah, you know what? Something can't come from nothing, and then you're in a shit show, and that's not what we're here for,
I think most of them are random, but I think that's a good suggestion. We'll have to reach out.
And I'm not against it, so I don't want to offend any of those people who want to go. Maybe they want to do duets to be on our side, which is cool and all. So no offense to any of those people who are inviting us. We're just not ready. We're not ready yet.
Christians tell me you believing nothing then ? What's a good comeback?
Tell them you believe in humanity, and you believe in the human mind, and you believe in
scientific
process, and you believe that most people are good, and that you have faith that we will continue to move forward as a society, and that we don't need belief in the unknowable for that. I mean, and people, I get what she's saying, because people get upset that you don't believe in anything, then, like, somehow. And that's why atheists upset people, frankly, that more than Muslims do, even in this country, which is bizarre to me. But it upsets their paradigm to not believe in anything. And I don't know why it should. We're just highly evolved animals, and none of the other animals that we know of believe in an afterlife. It's not required for happy living. We're all proof that you don't need to believe that there's a higher power in order to have meaning in your life. And people are always searching for meaning. What's the meaning of our existence on Earth if it's not to get to heaven? What are you talking about? We're just fucking animals. The meaning is to feed you and not have pain, and not suffer, and not have other people suffering, and try to learn something. Try to use this incredible brain that you have evolved to make yourself the best human being that you can be, and make the world around you the best and the most enjoyable and the cleanest and the healthiest that it can be, so other people get a chance to enjoy it. The whole Christian denial of the worth of the earth itself, because it's temporary and you're going to go to heaven, so why not litter? What is any of that about? I mean, it's just nonsensical. You're spending their lives working towards something that they don't even know is really going to happen, and ignoring the heaven that we have right here, right now.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to do the lightning round. I have a question on YouTube that we'll hit first. So if you're on TikTok, make sure that you put your question in the question box, and we're going to try to hit as fast as we can. But we're going to do a longer one first, just so you have time. So if you have a question, put it in now. You got about a minute. Again, put it in the question box, which is next to the comments. You'll see a question mark with a, we say, talking bubble,
dialogue bubble.
Dialogue bubble. Yeah, put it in there, and then we're gonna hit these
lightning round.
Fast. Okay, so this one's kind of long, so I'll give people a little time to comment. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to try to break it down. Basically, the question is, which worldview is the most just, as in if you're an atheist, when you die, you don't pay for your crimes. If you're Abrahamic, you get eternal punishment. In reincarnation, you get punished, given a chance to amend. He basically says, I feel the atheism view is the least just, and reincarnation is the most just.
How is atheism the least just? Because there's no afterlife.
Well, the least just, as far as like, I guess, as far as like, it doesn't really matter what it is, but I think it's more of a philosophical question on like justice and punishment.
Yeah, I mean, between the Abrahamic faiths, in contrary to the Abrahamic faiths, yes, Buddhism, I agree. Reincarnation is more just. That makes more sense. I don't get how atheism is unjust. I mean, we don't believe that there is any punishment at all. It's just the lights go out and you're gone. So
right. I think the irony he's kind of leaving out is the fact that, especially at least with Christianity, you just have to say I'm sorry and then say yes to Jesus, and then all of a sudden you don't even get punished. You get,
yeah, and that's the great irony of the whole, God, if God is the center for morality from wrong. Well, if Jesus will forgive you no matter what you did in your life, then everything is permissible, right? You can do whatever you want and then just confess at some point and accept Jesus, and all those murders that you've done are forgiven. So that's a basic contradiction, I think, in Christian theology that people don't talk about enough. So yeah, I mean, I gotta give it to him there, but I'm not sure how atheism fits into that, or humanism.
I mean, the reality is it doesn't matter how just it is. Which one's most likely is really the question.
Yeah,
it's more of a philosophical.
Yeah,
there's no real reason to discuss that.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a lightning question.
No, I meant it to be longer so people could ask.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so now we're gonna hit the
now
we're gonna hit the lightning questions.
Boom.
They're not all showing up, so give me one. See if we can. Okay, here we go. Are atheists more educated than Christians?
Yeah, studies have shown.
Uh,
That's not me saying that. You can look that up.
Is Christianity actually polytheistic Trinity? Question mark.
Yeah, I think that the tendency for Catholics especially and Christians in general is to spin a polytheistic worldview as monotheism. So yes.
What do you think of Alan Watts?
Is that I don't know who Alan Watts is. Is that this?
Oh, he's a philosopher guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I've listened to him, but I
Sorry.
don't remember his specific.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of philosophy. It bores the shit out of me.
How can we get critical thinking errors in education? How can we get critical thinking errors in education? Maybe just how do you get critical thinking in education?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to do it. I guess we need to fix the education system in America. We need to stop, trying to educate the most people to the least subjects like we do now. It's gotten to the point where America's just trying to get people to read and write, and all of that other stuff is ignored. So we need to overhaul the education system. That is the key to everything.
And I think that's it. Why don't we talk about where check out maybe a little bit about the podcast quick.
Yeah, find the podcast at atheistunderground.com. Find it on iTunes. Find it on Spotify. And I think it's probably on a lot of those lesser apps. I saw another one that came up as a Voible or Vocal or something.
Well, I don't know that one.
Or something. Yeah, there's somebody sent us a link that they put it up there. But you can find it all those places, and you can find it at atheistunderground.com. And we only do one every couple of months. It's just hard for us to get it out real fast. You can find us on Facebook. All the podcasts get posted there on the Facebook page. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram, and like I said, we are on YouTube. And we need more subscribers on YouTube. So find us at all those places. Find us at Atheist Underground Gear at Cafe Press, and you can buy the What's Missing T-shirt. You can buy cool stuff with the Atheist Underground train logo on it. So go to all those places and help us out and help us get the message out. And don't forget to support a local atheist group or start one. That's how I got into this. I realized that there was only one atheist group that I could find in all of Wisconsin, and so I joined it, and it was like a half an hour away from me. And so I started one that was local. And I think it's important that everybody, get together and do that. Just to normalize atheism, so people start realizing that there are atheist organizations out there. There are atheists in their community that do more things than cry on social media about how Christians have made their life miserable. We're out there doing good. We're out there doing highway cleanups. We're out there doing coat drives in the winter and food drives and helping people out with the situation from COVID. So I urge people to get involved, in your community. Come out to everybody that you can come out to. If you're going to lose your job, then don't do that necessarily. But the more that we can all come out, just like our gay friends did back when they did it, the more quickly that we can become a normal part of American life, and something that shouldn't even need to be identified. Atheism wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for rampant theism. It wouldn't be a concept. It should be the default position. And then if people choose to join a cult because it makes sense for them when they're of an age to make such a decision, then they can go ahead and do that. But I actually am looking forward to the day when atheism isn't even a term. It's problematic because the religious will tell you that we must believe in God because we spend so much time arguing against it. So therefore we validate its existence, when really we're trying to get back to the point where no one has a dogma, and we can all work on life on the planet and love each other and be good without a sky daddy or a spirit fairy or punishment, eternal punishment, or worrying about what's the best way to live your life so that you're reincarnated in a better form and not a worse form. All of these things are impediments to critical thinking. If you've already given up your mind to an unsustainable, unsupportable mythological dogma, and you're going to believe that as the truth, you have abdicated at least part of your ability to move forward in your mind and to learn new things and to improve the world around you and to be a creator. There's this stigma against creating, and part of the God concept includes denying that humans are the top dog on the planet. We are, as Shakespeare said, godlike in our apprehension. That's what scares people. We don't. There's a shame there that we shouldn't accept the limitless possibilities of our cerebra, right? And that is in fact an affront to our creator somehow. Well, until there's evidence that we have a creator, we may as well admit that we are the creative force, not the only one. I'm an animal lover, and I was watching again how dolphins can hunt with tactics that make that they have an intelligence that goes way beyond what people used to think. They're creative. They make tools. They have proto languages. A lot of them. I don't know if proto language is the right word, but they have their own primitive languages compared to ours. So we're just another one of those animals, and the fact that we have so far limitless capabilities, mental capabilities, problem solving, investigative, curious, all that stuff makes us the gods of this world that we have. There's no need to create another god because we're ashamed to be the top dog that we know of in the universe so far. So people need to embrace their humanism. They need to embrace their human capabilities, and they need to let go of mythology so that we can all move forward.
Do you want to hit two more?
Yeah,
since you got a chance. Okay. Yeah. So actually, there's a follow up with the question. Actually, was teaching logical fallacies in public education.
Yeah, there you go. We need to absolutely do all that stuff, and simple ones are taught. I heard someone say that their Catholic priest told them that be careful to use the God of the gaps. It's not valid, and that's a big one right there. Just because we don't know it doesn't mean God did it. It's just science we don't know yet. So yes, I think logical fallacies should absolutely be taught as early as possible. Critical thinking skills need to be taught to little kids. World philosophy, world religion needs to be taught to little kids. We need to get them into science way earlier in school. and way more deeply. So yeah.
Okay, how long have we been an atheist?
Since I was 17, probably, so 40 years almost.
The last one. Do you see a path back from conspiracy thinking?
Again, it's education. If it's ugly. We've reached a tipping point where there's so many people who believe that shit, that it's almost hard to envision how America moves forward from this. But again, if we fix the education system, I firmly believe that the head of education in the government should not be a religious person, and hopefully, we can get to a point where those of us who care about it are able to enforce our will on the education system and fix it. And then, generations from now, the conspiracy theory bullshit will go away. But I don't think it's going away anytime soon, sadly.
All right, let's probably call it at that. I think we have to give it like 20 seconds, otherwise it'll just hang up while you're talking. So someone mentioned, I'll just mention one comment, and then we'll mention the live dates again. Boomer said, I wish I remembered it, that, I don't know if this is verbatim, but basically that religion was the best, or basically worked off the multi-level marketing scheme.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, basically
kind of
pyramid
thing.
scheme,
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's a scam now. Religion, whereas it may have started with somewhat good intentions, has long been a tool for crowd control, and now really, especially big religion, it's just about money.
Well, even without the money, it's like I get saved if I get more people getting saved.
Right. That,
like, and then
there is that. Yeah, it's the metaphysical pyramid scheme for sure. Yeah.
And
it's
then
all bunk.
Join us for the live Wednesday at 8 p.m. We said
Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and is that it? All right. Thanks for joining, everybody. Love you, long time, and we will see you again soon.
I should find out how long that delay is, and even if we just 5 seconds, your live is still on there. So
drink lemon tea. It's good for you. If you're on YouTube, thank you for joining. I'm sorry that the comments didn't come up on the side here. I don't know how to fix that, but we'll try.
We'll fix it next time.
See you again soon. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.